Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल Hare Krishna. Welcome to the daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Shri Shri Radha Kalachanjidam. Batteries. Can we get another mic? I think the batteries are gone. Did you check the batteries? Yeah, I just changed. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। We're continuing with our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 6, Chapter 2. We'll do text 1 through 8, and our focus verse for today is text 8. Get your Mangalachara, then we'll. So please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll chant the prayers together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadev, the author. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Again, this is Canto 6, Chapter 2. The title of the chapter is Ajamila delivered by the Vishnu Dutas. Have they already arrived? You know? The Vishnu Dutas are already there or not there? They're already there. So it's just a conclusion of what is about to happen, which we already know from the first chapter. Right? The Vishnu Dutas are there to protect Ajamal, and they're having a conversation with who? The Yamadutas. Yes. So we know from the history of Ajamal that's been described in chapter 1 that he was initially a very pious person, but then he got influenced by the modes of material nature, by seeing Shudra and a prostitute behaving inappropriately in public, and then completely went on a different route and committed so many sinful activities to maintain his family, that the Yamadutas were 100% sure that it was their domain, right? They were going to come, take him to the hellish planets and punish him. But then, to their surprise, they have the Vishnu Dutas here, which is completely unexpected for anybody who has seen the story of Ajamil so far. And the previous chapter is basically a conversation that the Yamadutas initiate on why they should take Ajamil, right? And what was the principal argument that they place? Do you know? Yeah. He's sinful in the sense that his activities were very sinful, therefore he has to have a reaction for those activities. And therefore we're going to take him to the hellish planets. And what is this concept called? Karma, right? Their principal overarching theme of their argument in the first chapter is karma. That he's not a good person, he's committed so many sinful activities, and therefore he has to face the consequences of his reaction. And in this chapter, after the Vishnu Dutas have heard all the arguments placed by the Yama Dutas. Now they're going to say why they are in the right. Right? We know from the chapter of the title of the chapter that they are in the right because he's going to be delivered by them. So we're going to see the arguments for why it is the domain of Vishnu Dutas to come and take Ajamal back. Okay, so let's read the chapter summary, or actually let's do the translations, and then if we want we can come back to the summary. So text 1.
Shukadev Goswami said, "My dear king, the servants of Lord Vishnu are always very expert in logic and arguments. After hearing the statements of the Yamadutas, they replied as follows."
The Vishnu Dutas said, "Alas, how painful it is that a religion is being introduced into an assembly where religion should be maintained. Indeed, those in charge of maintaining the religious principles are needlessly punishing a sinless, unpunishable person."
Can you think about it? Practically the Yamudas are getting bamboozled here. Like what? Sinless? Ajamal? But in fact, the Vishnu Dutas are not just saying that, right? Which is the second part. What they're saying in the first part is you are actually transgressing religion by taking Ajamal to the hellish planets. In fact, it's a huge accusation on the Yamadutas, isn't it? For somebody who's as sinful as Ajamal, the Vishnu Dutas are saying, you are actually practicing a religion now by punishing this sinless fellow. You know? So let's continue.
A king or a governmental official should be so well qualified that he acts as a father, maintainer, and protector of the citizens because of affection and love. He should give the citizens good advice and instructions according to the standard scriptures and should be equal to everyone. Yamaraj does this, for he is the supreme master of justice, and so do those who follow in his footsteps. However, if such persons become polluted and exhibit partiality by punishing an innocent, blameless person, where will the citizens go to take shelter for their maintenance and security?
Yeah. So he's talking to the Yamadutas on a person that they really know. And who is this person that they really know? Who do they work for? Yamaraj, right? They're the servants of Yama. And Yamaraj is responsible for dharma in our society, right? He looks at who performs the right deeds, who performs the wrong deeds, and awards punishment accordingly to people in general. So he is compared to here as the king and everybody who is under his jurisdiction, to say, in the sense that he is actually adjudicating people on their actions, on what their qualities should be. And in fact, as the servants, they should also have the same qualities, is the argument of Vishnu Dutas. In the sense that you should exactly know, according to standard scriptures, what should be done and what should not be done. And here, you're doing something that is completely opposed to scriptures. So they're building it up and building it up before they actually tell what the reason is. You know? Okay, let's continue.
The mass of people follow the example of a leader in society and imitate his behavior. They accept as evidence whatever the leader accepts.
Yeah. This is similar to the verse in Gita. Do you remember what it is? Shreshtas tatat evetaro jana. Very nice. Okay.
People in general are not very advanced in knowledge by which to discriminate between religion and irreligion. The innocent, unenlightened citizen is like an ignorant animal, sleeping in peace, with its head on the lap of its master, faithful believing in the master's protection. If a leader is actually kind-hearted and deserves to be the object of a living entity's faith, how can he punish or kill a foolish person who is fully surrendered in good faith and friendship?
Actually, this is getting basically into chastisement territory here, right? And the comparison that the Vishnu Dutas make is actually very vivid, so to speak. And they're comparing a jamal to whom here? Yeah, not just an animal, but what is the animal doing?
Sleeping.
He's peacefully sleeping on the lap of his master, right? Thinking, I'm going to get all protection from my master. And yet, what does the master do? He takes the animal and slaughters the animal. Isn't it? Which is basically what happens in our society in slaughterhouses. Is that the animals think, oh, they're feeding me nicely, they're taking care of me nicely. And then the owner basically takes the animal and slaughters the animal. How cruel is that? For somebody who is actually believing in you and then thinking you're actually going to protect this person, and yet you actually kill the person. And the Vishnu Dutas are telling the Yamadutas that you're actually doing this, And people here, whether they know or don't know, that's not the point. They're innocent animals. The animals might not know, the animals might know. But even if they don't know, you have to practice religious principles. Even if Ajamal had committed so many sinful activities and didn't know better, you should know what principles of religion are. And instead, you're actually taking him to the slaughterhouse, is what the Vishnu Dutas are telling him. Okay. And this entire section can actually be a study on governments, how a leader should be looking after his citizens, what should the principles of governance be, and so on and so forth. But our topic for discussion is a little bit different than that. So we'll continue to text 7. But you can read the purports. Prabhupada's purports for these verses are really nice on how he talks about leadership and governance in general. Okay, text 7.
Ajamila has already atoned for all his sinful actions. Indeed, he has atoned not only for sins performed in one life, but for those performed in millions of lives. For in a helpless condition, he chanted the holy name of Narayan. Even though he did not chant purely, he chanted without offense, and therefore he is now pure and eligible for liberation.
Yeah, they finally say why, isn't it, in this verse? And why was it? Why was Ajamal sinless? He chanted the holy names of the Lord. He chanted the names of the Lord, especially Narayan. And we'll see who was. Have we already seen who Narayan is? Not yet, right? So let's go to the next verse. So we'll read the Sanskrit. This is our focus verse for today. Ete naiva hyanogosya kritam syadaga nishkritam yadha narayanayeti jagadha chaturaksharam ete naiva hyanogosya kritam syadaga nishkritam yada narayanayeti jagada chatur aksharam. Please chant. Ete naiva hyagonosya kritam syadhaga nishkritam yadha narayanayeti jaghada chaturaksharam. Okay. Ete naiva hyagonosya kritam syadhaga nishkritam yadha narayanayeti jagada chaturaksharam. Ete naiva hyagonosya kritam syadhaga nishkritam yadha narayanayeti jagada chaturaksharam. Thank you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So let's read the translation word for word together for lack of time. Etena, by this chanting, eva, indeed, he certainly, aghonaha, who possesses sinful reactions. Asya, of this, ajamila. Kritam, performed. Syat, is. Agha, of sins. Nishkritam, complete atonement. Yadha, when. Narayana, O Narayana, the name of his son. Aya, please come. Iti, thus. Jagada, he chanted. Chatur Aksharam, the four syllables. Narayana. Translation. The Vishnudutas continued. Even previously, while eating and at other times, this Ajamila would call his son, saying, My dear Narayana, please come here. Although calling the name of his son, he nevertheless uttered the four syllables Narayana. Simply by chanting the name of Narayana, in this way, he sufficiently atoned for the sinful reactions of millions of lives. Please repeat. The Vishnudutas continued. Even previously, while eating and at other times, this Ajamila would call his son, saying, My dear Narayana, please come here. Although calling the name of his son, he nevertheless uttered the four syllables Narayana. Simply by chanting the name of Narayana in this way, he sufficiently atoned for the sinful reactions of millions of lives. Purport. Previously, when engaged in sinful activities to maintain his family, Ajamila chanted the name of Narayana without offenses. To chant the holy name of the Lord just to counteract one's sinful activities or to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name is offensive. Namno balad yasyahi papa buddha. But although Ajamila engaged in sinful activities, he never chanted the holy name of Narayana to counteract them. He simply chanted the name Narayana to call his son. Therefore, his chanting was effective. Because of chanting the holy name of Narayana in this way, he had already vanquished the accumulated sinful reactions of many, many lives. In the beginning, he was pure. But although he later committed many sinful acts, he was offenseless because he did not chant the holy name of Narayana to counteract them. One who always chants the holy name of the Lord without offenses is always pure. As confirmed in this verse, Ajamala was already sinless, and because he chanted the name of Narayana, he remained sinless. It did not matter that he was calling his son, the name itself was effective. Do you know what propels Shukdev Goswami to talk about Ajamila? What question of Parikshit Maharaj? Yes.
Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadev Goswami how people can avoid going to the hellish planets.
Exactly. So the entire fifth canto in the end is describing so many different kinds of hellish planets, right? And then Shukdev Goswami is saying, Parikshit Maharaj is observing this and saying, people are suffering so much in going to the hellish planets. So how can they avoid going to the hellish planets? And what is Shukdev Goswami's reply to it? Initial reply at least. Yes. Ajit Prabhu, you had an answer?
His first answer is by atonement.
Yeah, by atonement, which is basically on the platform of karma, right? I do something bad, therefore I have to atone for my sins. Does Parikshit Maharaj actually accept the answer? No. He doesn't accept the answer because he compares that to what? The Bhagavatam gives us some incredible images that we can never forget. Yeah, elephant bathing, right? So the elephant goes to a river or a lake and then bathes nicely. And then after cleaning itself up, which is basically compared to that of atonement, what does the elephant do? It comes out and sprays sand all over its body again and becomes dirty, right? So Shukdev Goswami is saying atonement will actually help them from not going to the hellish planets, but Parikshit Maharaj doesn't agree to it. And then Shukdev Goswami goes a step ahead. And he says, what? Okay, atonement just is not enough. What is required more? Eventually he comes there, right? Which is why we get to the point of Ajamal. He says, okay, just atonement is not enough, but you need to have knowledge also, right? So then with knowledge, you can actually know what is right and what is not wrong, and therefore you can act in proper ways. Therefore, you don't even have to atone in the first place. And Parikshit Maharaj still doesn't agree to it. Because why? Even if you have knowledge and even if you're atoning for whatever activities you have committed, one thing is not eradicated. What is that one thing that's not eradicated? No. The seed of sinful activities, that's not eradicated. And what is that seed? Where is that coming from? It's actually the desire to commit sinful activities, right? So our innate desire or our innate tendencies are not completely eradicated. Prabhupada mentions in the Nectar of Instruction this exact conversation. He begins NOI text 1, right? We have so many different urges that we might have to control. And people say the way to control is control your senses, right? And don't engage your senses. That's basically the usual prescription that's given. But Prabhupada quotes this conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj and says, just by controlling the senses, you cannot really control your urges because the tendency to enjoy is still there. What can actually help us overcome is to purify those tendencies. And to purify those tendencies, karma doesn't help, which is basically atonement. Jnana doesn't help, which is basically, even if you have all the knowledge, you know the cigarette smoking is injurious to health and you still take a pack of cigarettes and smoke, right? So just knowledge and karma are not enough. And therefore, something more higher is required, which is basically bhakti. And here especially, it's such a drastic case of how devotional service, and one aspect of devotional service here is chanting the holy names of the Lord, can actually deliver the most sinful of people. And Ajamal was very, very sinful actually. When he fell for the prostitute, he had 10 kids. And the last of his kids, he somehow named him as Narayana. And Prabhupada says, usually the last child is always a very spoiled child, right? People show so much love because he's very young or she's very young, and therefore lots of love is shown, and therefore they're a little spoiled. So Narayana was very a favorite child of Ajamal also, but he had 10 sons or 10 kids. Doesn't mention. He had 10 children, and therefore to maintain his family, he did so many horrible activities, so many sinful activities, and therefore committed a pile load of sin. But he had one thing come to his rescue. He was calling the names of Narayana, just this 4 syllable. The Vishnu Dutas finally come and tell the reason. Because he was calling Narayana Ayeti. Narayana, please come. And he was not even calling the actual Narayana or actual Krishna when he was calling Narayana. Who he was calling in his mind was his son Narayana, his little child Narayana. Narayana, please come. Narayana, please eat. Like this, he was constantly calling the names of Krishna, but without knowing that this was the names of Krishna. And therefore, he was chanting the names of Krishna in an offenseless manner, is what Prabhupada is saying in this purport. When chanting the names of the Lord, we have 10 offenses that we are told to avoid, so that we can actually get the most benefit of chanting the holy names of the Lord. The offenses start decreasing the potency of the holy names of the Lord. And one of the biggest offenses, or among the 10 offenses, the biggest of all offenses, Prabhupada says in many places, is which offense, you know? The 7th offense. And what is it? Yes, committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names of the Lord. And Prabhupada quotes this, right? Namno balad yasyahi papa buddhi. That I know that the holy names can deliver me from my sinful reactions. So in the morning, I chant the holy names, and in the evening, I commit all kinds of sinful activities. And again, I chant in the morning to counteract all the sinful activities I've committed. This is the biggest offense that we can commit to the holy names of the Lord. And when we are committing such an offense, the holy name doesn't reveal itself to us at all. And what to speak of purifying, we actually go deeper and deeper downward instead of purifying ourselves. So in case of Ajamila, what helped him was that he was chanting the holy names of the Lord and committing sinful activities. But he didn't think that chanting the holy name would actually counteract his sinful activities. He didn't commit the 7th offense, is what Prabhupada is saying here. And therefore, the holy names of the Lord had an incredible effect on him. So much so that the Vishnu Dutas are saying, just by chanting these 4-syllable words, he sufficiently atoned for sinful reactions, not just of this life, but of millions of lives. And this is the power of the holy name. It is no exaggeration to say that just by chanting the holy name of the Lord once, we can get liberation. It can destroy all our sins. And Ajamal's case is a clear demonstration to it. But the chanting of the holy name it has 3 stages that Prabhupada describes. Do you know what those 3 stages of chanting the holy names are?
Namabhas. No, it's
That's one.
Nama Parad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam.
Correct. These are the 3 stages of chanting the holy names of the Lord, right? The first stage of chanting the holy names of the Lord is Namaparad. We're chanting the holy names of the Lord, but we're chanting it offensively. Those 10 offenses that we read in the offenses to the holy names of the Lord, we are committing those offenses when we are chanting the holy names of the Lord. But still, when we continue to chant the holy names of the Lord, our tendency to commit those offenses slowly start going away. The holy name is purifying us. As long as we don't take advantage of it in the sense of I'm chanting the holy names and commit sinful activities. Intentionally we try to chant the holy names, and if we are committing offenses because of our conditioning or our nature, the holy names are merciful enough to clear that out for us over a period of time. And when we keep chanting this way offensively, at some point we come to this stage of Namabhas. And what is Namabhas? Do you know? It's not really without offense, but it's the stage of clearing of offenses. We are striving to not commit offenses when chanting the holy name of the Lord at this point. Previously, we're chanting, we're not even thinking about the offenses. But then at some point, we start getting serious about chanting and then start trying to avoid the offenses. And we are at the clearing stage. And at this stage, we're not completely devoid of offenseless. Actually, you could say it's the stage of offenseless chanting. And the holy names start reflecting. This is like described as how when the sun rises in the morning, the sun doesn't come initially, right? We don't see the sun, but we see the rays of the sun. And just the rays of the sun brighten the entire environment. So the holy names have not fully manifested yet in its pure form. But in the Namabha stage, we can see some glimpses of the holy names' potency. And at this stage, it completely clears us of all our material conditioning in the stage of Namabhas. The stage of offensive chanting, we are still in the material condition of life. But when we come to the stage of Namabhas, we are actually liberated at this stage of Namabhas from all our material hankerings. It's it's not a positive effect, but it has a negative effect in that sense that we are completely in a very peaceful state. None of the material troubles actually bother us in the stage of Namabhas. And Namabhas can happen intentionally or unintentionally. This is the point of Ajamal. We can come to the stage of Namabhas when we are intentionally trying to avoid the offenses or even unintentionally trying to avoid the offenses in the case of Ajamal, right? How Ajamal chanted the names of Narayana was essentially in the stage of Namabhas. It was a reflection. And at that point, he was completely liberated. All his sinful activities of millions of lifetimes were completely eradicated just by chanting these 4 syllables. But there is one more stage higher than Namabhas, right? Which is Shuddhanam, or pure chanting of the holy names of the Lord. It is at this point where we can actually love God. Namabhas is the stage where we are liberated in the sense of how we are liberated from all our material problems. But still the positive effect has not happened yet. As we continue to chant in the stage of Namabhas, we can actually enter the kingdom of God, where we actually need to love God at that point, right? So Ajamal also, we will see that although his sinful reactions for millions of lifetimes were eradicated just by chanting the name Narayana, he still didn't chant it purely. He didn't come to the stage of Shuddhanam, where it is where love for God manifests. So therefore he had to take another life or continue his life, and then he would go on to perfect his life and enter the kingdom of God. So this is the potency of the holy names of the Lord. So the Bhagavatam, this famous verse is there, right? Especially for the times that we are living in, it's called the Kali Yuga. And the description of Kali Yuga is there in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th canto. It says, this Kali Yuga is actually very horrible time to be. It lists all the horrible things that can happen in Kali Yuga and how it's going to progress. We are actually in the very beginning stages of Kali Yuga. Just about 5,000 years. We still have about 427,000 years of Kali Yuga. And it says, this is Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. Kaler dosha nide rajan. It says, and what are these faults? And Prabhupada actually says in the purport for the previous verse, or not really. In the Bhagavatam, it's actually described in the beginning, because Kali Yuga is about to start, and then the sages in Naimisharanya are performing a fire sacrifice so that they can help the people of Kali Yuga. They know what is about to befall them, right? And it is described that they are Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hyupadrita. This is the quality of people in Kali Yuga. This is Manda Sumanda Matayo. We are not very intelligent. We are very unfortunate. And we don't really do things that are actually good for us in the age of Kali Yuga. And therefore we create so many problems, upadrita. And Krishna also describes the qualities of people in Kali Yuga much more in the 4 kinds of people that don't come to him, right? Namam dushkrutino mudha prapadyante naradama. Jai Shri Radha Kalachanji ki jai. Says Namam dushkrutino mudha prapadyante naradama maya parutagyana asuram bhavamashritam. This is basically the qualities of people in Kali Yuga. Most of us, 90% of us, fall under these 4 categories where we don't want to take shelter of the Lord at all. And we are Namam dushkrutino mudha, that we are very foolish. Muda, prapadyante naradama. It says they are also lowest among all mankind. Maya pahritagyana. Our intelligence has been stolen away by illusion. And asuram bhavam ashrita. That we have the demonic tendencies in us. And therefore, because we have these 4 qualities, we are so unfortunate in the age of Kali Yuga. And therefore, we cannot take shelter of the Lord at all. But even in this such a terrible age, Astihi eko mahadguna. There is one incredible quality, Bhagavatam says. Kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangat param rajit. That just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we can achieve the kingdom of God. Mukta sangat param vrajit. We can go to that destination from which we don't have to come back at all. Yad gatvana nivartante taddama paramamama, Krishna says. So this is the potency of the holy name of the Lord, and it is not an exaggeration. If we think it's an exaggeration, that's again an offense to the holy name of the Lord. Because just by chanting the holy names of the Lord once, whether intentionally or even unintentionally, we can actually rid ourselves of all sinful reactions. And to finish off, I'll tell about how the Acharya of holy names of the Lord. Who is this? Srila Haridas Thakur, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the title Namacharya. He's the Acharya for chanting the holy names of the Lord. And there is this conversation in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think it's the Antilila. Antilila. It's called the Glories of Haridas Thakur, I think. Probably chapter 3. I think chapter 3. Where Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur have this conversation precisely on this point of Namabas and things like that. And Mahaprabhu is asking Haridas Thakur this question. Oh, in this age of Kali, people don't follow any religious principles. And how are they going to be delivered? Mahaprabhu is really worried for the people in Kali Yuga. And Haridas Thakur, to pacify Mahaprabhu, gives the example, especially coming from his own lived experience. And Haridas Thakur was a Mohammedan, right? He was a Muslim by birth. And therefore, he is giving the example of how even Muslims who actually, especially in the times that Haridas Thakur was living in, was persecuting the Hindus, so to speak, and the devotees also. And we see this in the case of Chand Kazi, where he was trying to ban the Sankirtan movement and things like that, right? So he's telling, even the Yavanas or the Muslims can be delivered by the holy names of the Lord, Mahaprabhu, he's saying. But how? Mahaprabhu says they don't chant the holy names of the Lord, but how can they be delivered? And therefore Haridas Thakur is saying, the Muslims say this word haram. Haram means that which should not be done or something like that. Haram, haram. They say haram, haram. Forbidden. That which should not be done, right? That which is forbidden is called haram. And the Muslims use this word a lot. And what is haram has anything to do with the holy names of the Lord. And Haridas Thakur goes on to say, we see this as haram, but Krishna sees this as ha-rama. And thinks, oh, they're calling my name out, right? And here he says, ha means it's just a sign of exclamation. Oh, Rama, oh Rama. That's how Krishna hears it. The Muslims are saying, haram, haram. This is forbidden, this is forbidden. But Krishna is hearing, oh Rama, oh, they're calling my name out. Therefore, even those who don't like you, externally at least, are they calling out your names, my Lord? And therefore, even they are delivered. And this is an example of Namabhas, Haridas Thakur says. That it doesn't actually intentionally point to the name of the Lord, but the intention is something else. But the Lord still takes that, oh, he's calling my name out. And similar was the case with Ajamil also. And actually, Haridas Thakur quotes this exact instance from the Srimad Bhagavatam in his conversation with Mahaprabhu. And says, see, even Ajamil didn't consciously call your name out, Narayana. He was just calling his son's name. And still he got delivered and was pacifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like that. So that is the effect of the holy names of the Lord. And we have this by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread this all around the world through Srila Prabhupada, right? So we have this, we intentionally know the glories of the holy name. Jai Shri Radha Kalachandji ki Jai. So Ajamal didn't even intentionally speak or say the names of the Lord, and his effect was incredible. And what to speak of devotees who know the glories of the holy name and chant intentionally. The holy name is so merciful to such devotees. As long as we really intentionally chant the holy names and try to avoid the offenses as much as possible, the holy names are so merciful that it clears first our sinful tendencies and then completely uproots, nectar of instruction says, right? Tadgata Moola Hantri, that chanting the names, forms, activities, pastimes of the Lord completely uproot our sinful tendencies. That's the first effect. And as we continue doing it, actually love for God manifests in our heart. This is prema bhakti, the Krishna prema, which is the very goal of our practice of bhakti, manifests in our hearts. So we'll stop here for today and see if there are any questions or comments or thoughts, reflections on the holy names of the Lord.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Such a nice class.
Thank you.
I have a question. I don't know if this is speculation or maybe an acharya has given this perspective, but would you say that this is Krishna's arrangement, this pastime? Because we see that Ajamil, like you said, used to be pure, used to be a Brahmana, he knew all the Vedic scriptures and everything.
Yeah.
But then he got deviated. So could it be that the Lord inspired him to name his son Narayan, and then in order for this to happen where he was saved from going to hellish planets, it seems kind of like it could have been an arrangement. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be. I don't know exactly. But the thing is, Krishna says, Neha Bikramanasosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Right, this is in the Gita. He says, even if you do a little bit of devotional service, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya, then you can escape from the greatest of all dangers, which is the fear of death. So any activity that we do in devotional service is never eradicated. And we start from the same point where we leave off. So Krishna definitely helps us out in that sense. But we also have to have that desire to continue, because Krishna will never force us, right? This is why Prabhupada says finish it in this one lifetime. Because you never know how our desires will manifest in our next lifetime. Krishna will give us this opportunity. He'll give us this environment in which we can start practicing bhakti again from where we left off. But it also depends on what our desires are, isn't it? And somehow or the other, Ajamal named his son Narayana. It could be the inspiration of the Lord because of all the past activities that he had performed. But I'm not really sure of Acharya's commentaries on if it was Krishna who inspired him. Of course, everything is Krishna's inspiration in the sense that Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto, right? Our remembrances, our forgetfulness, our knowledge, everything comes from Krishna. But it usually comes through our desire, and Krishna sanctions it. You had something, Mataji?
Hi Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Following up Prabhu's question, this morning I was hearing like this Aghasura pastime, how one side of it, how you're saying like, we be the ideal devotee and not do things wrong. But talking for myself, I'm not that person who doesn't do things wrong. I do wrong all the time. So sometimes it gets really discouraging that, but then I was hearing this Aghasura pastime where Prabhu was explaining these boys who wanted to enjoy the mouth of Aghasura so much. It looked so attractive. They could see it was stinking, it was teeth, and then the eyes, and they named everything. Like, the eyes are like fire, and it's a mountain, and whatnot, it's a red carpet. And they made it how they wanted it to be, though it was not the truth. But then one point that, was striking, but before that, before they entered, they did what they wanted. But before that, they turned back and looked at Krishna. And they clapped their hand, which different acharyas give different explanation for. But they looked at Krishna and said, he will protect us. The way he protected us from all the demons. Yeah. I think they mentioned specifically about Bakasur, and he twice. And then he said, he will protect us. So even if we are going downhills, when we are not able to uphold dharma or not able to follow how we are supposed to, if we turn back and look at Krishna, he will protect us, is what I was looking at it. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a very clear point that Krishna mentions in the Gita also, right? He even says, apichet suduracharo, that even if you're the most abominable, bhajate imam ananya bhakt, if you continue to practice devotional service, this is the key. Sadhureva samantavya samyak vivasito isa. He says, you should consider such a person as sadhu. So this is Krishna's perspective, is that even if we are committing sinful reactions, sinful activities, if we are still somehow or the other practicing bhakti, Krishna considers such a person sadhu. But Prabhupada gives a balance to Krishna's statement in his purport, in the sense that as long as those activities are accidental, then Krishna will still protect. But if you are intentionally committing, which is basically the point that Prabhupada is making here, commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names of the Lord. I know that bhakti will actually clear me of all the offenses, therefore let me commit sinful activities. And that point actually is very offensive to the holy name. This is the song that Narottam Das, Ebaro Karuna Karo, right? What do you say? Thomas Tane, Haris Tane Aparade, Thare Hari Nam, right? If we commit sinful activities, if we commit offenses to Hari or Krishna, the holy names actually can negate those offenses for us. But if we commit, actually he says Thomas Tane in the sense of Vaishnav, right? He's talking about Vaishnav Thakur, or the offenses to the devotees, then the Harinam cannot really negate it. It's the same with the holy names of also, in the sense that if we are constantly trying to commit sinful activities, knowing that it's sinful, then Krishna's protection, I don't think, is guaranteed. In the sense of Rajavasis, it's a completely different thing, right? They don't know anything apart from Krishna. Everything that they're doing is to please Krishna. So from that perspective, and their staunch faith in Rakshishyati iti Vishwasaha is just on a different level. So from that perspective, yes. But then Prabhupada is making this point here, in the sense that we have to be careful also. We have to be intentionally acting. Okay, if our conditioning is such a way that we accidentally fall down, then that's okay. Krishna will not really mind it. But if we are intentionally trying to commit sinful activities, thinking bhakti will help me, then that's very problematic. Right? Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts? If not, we'll stop here now. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So you know this song, Jai Radha Madhava? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jaya Jasodanand Jaya Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jayo Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jayo Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Braja Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Braja Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamana Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya. What is that sleep yesterday you gave me? That mantra, Nishinga mantra. There was one extra mantra. Yeah, what everyone sleep this. Namaste. Narasimhaya. Prahlada. Ladini. Hiranna. Kasipur. Bhaksha. Silatanka. Nakhalai. Namaste. Narasimhaya. Prahlada. Ladadaini. Hiranna. Kasipu. Bhaksha. Silatanka. Nakhalai. Namaste. Narasimhaya. Prahlada. Ladadaini. Hiranya. Kasipu. Bhaksha. Silatanka. Nakhalai. Ito nisinga paratu nisinga